Everyone, I hope you're all well. So I hope everyone's well. Who we're on here then? There's one person watching. Hope you're doing well, whoever it is. Um, so yeah, I ended up knocking the last live off because I got to the fitness area and there was some people there, and I don't really like going live when there's other people around when I'm doing that. So I just ended up working out without filming it. So yeah. Um, I think I got a pretty good workout today. It was did quite a mix of stuff. I did some like calisthenic stuff, but I also did some like cardio as well. So it's a pretty good session, all-rounded session of like fitness. And that's something I encourage because the problem is it's like you get these people like lifting all these heavy weights, but then they don't do anything to like strengthen their heart. And the heart's the most important muscle in the body. So we should be trying to do that because how can you really call yourself fit if you're like all you do is lift weights and then you could be like get a heart attack at any minute, or you get winded trying to run up the stairs or something. I mean, some of these people might even struggle to walk up a big flight of stairs, let alone run up it. So to me, fitness is about being functional and in everyday situations, being able to make every day easier. Like every day should be a breeze. Once you've done your workouts, and everything else should be easy. That's what fitness is about. It's like, you put yourself through that challenge and now everything else just feels easy. It's almost like a cheat code to life where like for a lot of people they'd struggle with a lot of day-to-day things, and then you get into fitness, and then if you do a lot of like say, yeah, try and do a bit of like strength endurance as well to kind of balance it out, like do maybe some like higher rep kind of stuff, so then you've got a bit more like endurance in there. Because it's just like if you're too much like on one side and too much on the other side, then you're not very well rounded, and you're kind of missing out on some things that, of course, you can't be perfectly, sort of, I don't know, but you know what I mean. It's just, but if you have no cardio, if you're like just get out of breath easily, how can you call yourself fit? I don't know how you could really call yourself fit. Is it if you all you do is lift weights and it's just I just feel like it's a bit of a delusion, this whole fitness, because they think of it as like fitness as some kind of body image when really that's nothing to do with it. Yeah, of course, being in shape is, part of it, but it's not the be all and end all. Um, yeah, if you look like you're in shape and all that, but you could have, say, like a six pack or whatever, but then you still might not have the best heart health and best, not necessarily the best endurance. Because if you have no endurance, then what are you actually fit for? Because a lot of day-to-day situations they require a lot of endurance, a lot of strength endurance, not lifting something up a few times and putting it back down on the floor. That isn't very functional, is it? And a lot of these things have convenient handles, is what Bioneer said. It's like they're designed to be kind of optimized for bodybuilding, not for actual fitness, not for functionality. They're designed in a specific way for weightlifting or powerlifting or whatever. but they're not designed for functionality. And because in life, objects don't usually have these convenient handles, convenient to lift. Oftentimes, say if we're trying to lift boulders and things like that, rocks and whatever, lifting tree trunks and things like that, you're going to have to like use different muscles, and you can't just grab a barbell or something. It's just, so what they're training for is not even practical to any kind of day-to-day situation, really. A lot of these people would even struggle with like manual labor jobs, I reckon. Like they wouldn't even, like, a lot of them would probably gas out, a lot of them would probably, or they would just find it really awkward, like when they're trying to carry some of these things and they haven't really learned the techniques properly, so they're just not functional at all. So how can they really call themselves fit? I don't get it. It's a complete fallacy to me. But anyway, thank you for the like, whoever that is. Anyway, who's in here then? Let me know who's watching. It's a bit quiet in here, so yeah. But like I said, hello to you, Sigma. How you doing? Fitness. I was arguing that if you don't have endurance, then you're not fit, and that might trigger some people out there. There's like people on YouTube who like all they do is lift weights. That's not fitness. That is, just lifting weights. That is just bodybuilding or whatever. That has nothing to do with fitness. That is purely for like aesthetics. Aesthetics is not fitness. Yeah, thank you for subbing. So aesthetics has nothing to do with fitness, and fitness hasn't really got anything to do with aesthetics. I mean, it sort of does more because, I mean, fitness, if you are fit as a person, you'll naturally kind of become probably more in shape. But just because you're in shape doesn't mean you're necessarily fit, if you get me. It's like there's what they call athletic body, but someone could have an athletic body but not be an athlete and not be fit even. Just because you've got 6-7% body fat completely shredded, that doesn't mean that you're fit. And a lot of these people, when they get down to that level, actually have no energy because the testosterone depletes. So once you get below about 8% body fat, your testosterone will just probably plummet. That's what a lot of guys feel. As soon as they go below 8, even 9%, that they're starting to really like suffer in their hormones and stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, most guys should probably stay somewhere between 10 to 15% body fat year round. Like maybe go down to 10 on like a cut or something if you want to do that. But somewhere between that kind of range is going to be best for your hormones. It's going to be best for like aesthetics. I mean, getting too shredded might not even be ideal even for aesthetics. You're probably not going to look good in clothes, and you're just going to look kind of flat. Like you're not going to look full. That's the thing. It's like I've seen some of these, videos where they would they'll get down to like 6-7% body fat, and it's like they look like they've lost a bunch of muscle, but it's just that they've lost so much body fat that they have nothing left, and they just look. It's like have you seen this guy who's like literally like 4% body fat, and he has like a fair bit of muscle, but because he's got such low body fat, he just kind of looks like a skeleton. Was he the one punch guy or something? And he was like, he looks very gaunt. He looks very malnourished. But I mean, he has some muscle, but it's like he has absolutely like no body fat on him at all. It's like 3-4% body fat, and he maintains that all year. So I don't know if he's like on some kind of gear or something. Because there was this other guy who was around that sort of 4% body fat, who was known as this most shredded guy on earth. They reckon he was taking some steroids, because usually what happens is that people would end up losing muscle when they get to that level. The body starts to eat away at the muscle. Hello, Al Hassan, how you doing? Nah, I'm good, thank you. I'm not a religious person, so yeah. All right, thank you for the likes, everybody. So yeah, just I saw this thing about alcohol and how you probably shouldn't really be drinking it, at least not much, if you want to build muscle, because that can actually impair it. So just remember, every time you drink alcohol, you're potentially going to be blunting the muscle protein synthesis after a workout. And they say, especially like if you have it within a few hours after a workout. But the thing is, if you have it even, say, like at nighttime, you have a drink of alcohol before going to bed, then what's going to happen is then your body's processing that while you're sleeping, which then was what should have been the time when your body would have been repairing itself to, get bigger and stronger and whatever. So, hello, Glitch, how are you doing? So basically, yeah, so like drinking loads of alcohol will probably make it harder to gain muscle. It'll also make it harder to lose fat as well. Yeah, they've got the Glitch. Oh yeah, what's going on? Yeah, were you two different people or something? Because I was a bit confused, because I thought I'd seen someone called the Glitch, and then there's All Hail the Glitch. Hi, hello, how's it going? I hope you're well tonight. If anybody's new here, please give me a follow. So what's going on with, like, because I was like thinking the Glitch was like, and then there's All Hail the Glitch, and it's like, because I remember there was someone called the Glitch, and I was like thinking All Hail the Glitch is like the it's a bit confusing, but yeah, sometimes when people have similar names, and then it's I've been around for years, right? All Hail the Glitch is my motto. The other one is one of my disciples. Oh goodness. Anyway, so yeah. So basically, Runner Boy, I don't know if anyone knows who that is, but what a knobhead is all I'm gonna say. Like, yeah, he's a fucking twat, is what he is. Like, he's a fucking two-faced fucking twat. That's what he is. I thought he was been a bit dodgy for a while, to be honest, but he's really shown his true colors now. So basically, yeah, just I've been thinking the same for a while. Yeah, a lot of that community are a bunch of twats. I'm just gonna say it as it is. It doesn't matter. It's just all I'm gonna say is he's a twat, and he's a two-faced fucking piece of shit. And yeah, these trolls are probably gonna try and clip that out. I bet. Yeah, they're probably watching right now. This is what's been going on. I've been getting trolls that'll clip bits out, but it's like this Runner Boy characters now put a comment on one of those troll videos saying that that I'm a nutter. I'm like, yeah, so why has he got on to there? He's obviously, yeah, trying to like. Another thing happened with Runner Boy where he sent me a message on TikTok telling me that Jace had sent him super chats or something, and he's saying, "Oh, does that bother you?" or something, like he was trying to get a reaction out of me or something. You've always been laid back from when I've been here. Yeah, I try to. I try to be laid back. It's just there's some real, just like negative people out there, and it just sucks really because sometimes you think people are, seem sound and whatever, and then they just show their true colors, you know. You have to be very careful, like who you trust in online, because they could just turn on you at any moment. But it did feel a bit like with, say, Runner Boy, is things were like quite transactional with him, where it's like, oh well, I'm only gonna go to people's channels if they come to mine, sort of thing. That's what it was being like. Oh, I don't see you, commenting and stuff, and then I'm not gonna comment on yours. I'm gonna give you the same treatment. It's like, well, see, then I started to feel pressured into trying to, like, sort of try to, like, chat more with his chats and stuff. So I felt like he was just gonna, hello, Shazad. I'm okay, thank you. How are you doing? Hope you well. I'm a troll, but I've always been nice to you. You're all right. Oh, really? I don't know. I don't know who the nice people are really, but there's people just trying to clip bits out of videos and stuff, but it's just that, as I say, no smoke without fire, though. If I react to something, then it's usually because someone's just being not very nice, and maybe I've overreacted. I definitely overreacted at times. It doesn't matter, Titch. It's just someone who's been posting videos. Yeah, no, it can be difficult sometimes to rise above everything, because when people are trying to bring your name down and stuff, it can get to you a bit, can't it? It can sort of make you think like, well, because let's say any new people that start coming on here, and then if they ever see some of those videos, then they might be put off me. But that's in the past, though. It's like, but it's like sometimes things from the past can come back to haunt you, kind of thing. It's like, hi David, how are you doing? I hope you're well. Yeah, there's a lot of like negative troll people out there, and it's just sad, isn't it? Some people just don't have a life, and they should just, why is it they say like that, what is it? Winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. I'm not saying I'm like necessarily really a winner, but I guess compared to these people I would be, because I don't feel the need to go into groups and try and bully people and stuff. Like, I'm on my own path here, and like, I'm just saying they should just kind of, how am I feeding them? I don't know, just by talking about them, you mean? I don't know. I don't really have much to talk about right now, I guess. But like I said, I was talking a bit about the whole, kind of health stuff, but no one really seems to be that interested. So I don't know. Maybe talking about them is some kind of content or something. I don't know, but I don't know really. It seems to be the only time when people are interested is when there's some kind of drama going on. I don't know. It's kind of sad, really, isn't it? Well, it's hard to find your target audience, isn't it? They don't hardly seem to come here. It's easier said than done, really, isn't it? It's like either the algorithm isn't working, or it's just that people just aren't interested. Like, out of the hundreds of people that, views or whatever, that only maybe like 10 or 20% of them actually stick around, and out of those, most of them probably go after like a few seconds. I don't know. It can get quite sort of, demoralizing at times, but I'm trying to just stay positive, and yeah. I don't know where Anton's been lately. It seems to have disappeared, so I was thinking about him actually earlier. Yeah. Richard doesn't really come in here that much. I mean, But yeah, I was talking to Richard just earlier. But yeah, Richard's all right. It's just, um, yeah, I was actually met him like a few days ago. So yeah, he's doing all right. And yeah, I was actually met him at his shop actually. So yeah. Um. Anyway, so you used to have some true supporters that all turned out fake. Well, they weren't true supporters then, were they? You know, it's on about people like Jace and all them lot. There was that friggin' Gravity Core Fitness as well. To me, that's just another fake fucking channel. I mean, that's just kind of, I don't know. It's like, for example, they were going on they were on fucking Jesse Pollack and saying that they were doing 2,000 push-ups and 2,000 squats, and they were doing like partial reps. It's like, how is that even? It's a bit kind of like it sounds a bit disingenuous to say that you're doing 2,000 push-ups and 2,000 squats when you're only doing half reps, if that. Like, you know, I'm not saying that what they're doing isn't impressive, but it's a bit misleading, isn't it? Because if people see that and then they would think that you would be doing 2,000 full reps, which would be almost like impossible. But yeah, but I don't know. It's just, I remember like, you know, Gravity Core Fitness. I actually watched a bit of a thing and they were saying, he was saying that he had some injuries or something like, and he said this was from doing gymnastics or something. And this guy's supposed to know a lot about fitness and how to do things properly. Aren't they supposed to be like personal trainers or something? But then they'll critique other people on their, you know, like on their like form or whatever, and like try and, I don't know. I mean, obviously we all make mistakes sometimes, but I don't know. I just feel like they can get a bit kind of arsehole-y about, you know, kind of. It's like they were saying stuff about telling people they shouldn't do crunches and sit-ups, and I'm like, it depends on the individual. Like some people might be susceptible to things with that, but you know, it's just oftentimes when people say stuff in absolutes, that's where I kind of can't really take them seriously. When someone's saying this thing is bad, when oftentimes it's not bad for everybody, because I've done crunches for like a long time, and I don't have any issues with it. And a lot of people that do it, they're fine with it. Some people might have issues. I did speak to someone. They said that they had issues doing sit-ups, but like I just think that the problem is when people like speak in absolutes and there's no nuance to it or anything. That's where I find it's just a bit kind of like, should these people even be friggin' personal trainers if they're talking in absolutes and kind of, was it him that said he had that infected prolapse or something? I can't remember, but I remember like, wasn't it Mark from that channel said he had a hernia or something? Now you could say that a lot of that maybe come from when he was really intense with the bodybuilding or something, and really got like into the weightlifting and really going heavy with that. You're gonna be more likely to get injured when doing stuff like that, and you can get carried away with it. But you know, but he was saying I think he had some recent injury or something. I don't know, something about he was trying to do some iron cross thing or something, and he said, "Oh, I've got an injury." I don't know if it was his shoulder or something, but saying that he got an injury doing gymnastics. So, like, are these people that should really be like teaching other people? You know, like, it seems like that they talk a lot in absolutes and you should do this, you shouldn't do that. like getting quite preachy about things. I think we've got to be careful about that, really. That's what I find the problem is when people get too kind of dogmatic with things, where something is like an absolute, but things aren't always that simple. We have to try and keep an open mind. It's like, for example, hello, John. He kept going on about, not bulking above 15% body fat. I mean, it depends on the individual. I'd say for most people, that's probably a good, ballpark to say, okay, you probably shouldn't be going above about 15, 16% body fat. Really, if you're, on a bulk, let's say, that should be like the top end of your bulk. But there might be certain people who have a bit of like a higher body fat set point where they might find that, they are better off going to about 17 to 19% body fat on a, to help them. There's going to be variations. So it's stuff like that, for example. And then, it's just, like saying that stuff like, don't do crunches for abs. It's like, I don't see anything wrong with that for a lot of people. Yeah, so if you find that you're getting any kind of strain, then stop it or dial it back. But to say that something is a bad exercise, then that is just kind of, this is very dogmatic to me, and it's just, you got to be careful with things like that. But I don't know, I'm just saying that, but yeah, they were like on Jesse and they were like doing 2,000 push-ups, 2,000 squats. They were basically just doing this, right? This was their 2,000 squats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like I could just do that all day, right? Yeah, I could just do all that all day. And then same with the push-ups. So we're just doing like partial reps. So they're like saying they're doing 2,000 squats and 2,000 push-ups. And the funny thing is, people critique me of like not going to a certain depth with it or whatever, but I think I've got like a pretty decent range of motion when I do my exercises, especially when I'm doing like squats. A lot of people actually said that I have good depth on it, but it's just like, maybe they should have said 2,000 half squats or 2,000 half push-ups, But if they said that, then it doesn't sound so impressive, does it? I'm not saying that what they did wasn't impressive. Of course it is, but it's just people like to exaggerate things, and I'm not here to bullshit and, if I get something wrong, I'll correct it. But yeah, if I make a mistake, it's like an honest mistake, right? But yeah, doing that, it just sounds like a bunch of ego to me, like saying, oh, 2,000 push-ups or whatever, and it's like they're doing this, yeah. It's like, this is what they're doing, yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh wow, 2,000 of those. Yeah. And then 2,000 of these. I mean, what a joke. I mean, I understand the whole thing of partial reps and how they can be good for like doing calisthenics, but you're not going to be able to do as many full reps. So why are you saying you're doing 2,000 push-ups and 2,000 squats or whatever when they're not full reps? They're like shorty reps. What's the point in that, really? It's like, I mean, I understand the whole thing of like sort of partial reps, like the prison workout style. But like trying to do a challenge of, hello Haley, how you doing? You all right? Trying to do a challenge of like 2,000 push-ups and 2,000 squats when they're not even full reps. I mean, it's an absolute joke. Like I actually did 1,000 bodyweight squats, but they were full squats, and that left me sore for days. No, she's not, John. So yeah. Anyway, so the I don't know. It's just, yeah, I'm okay, thank you. What's this? 1,000 bodyweight squats, 5. Let's see how they do it. Let's have a look, shall we? Let's have a look and see if they actually do it properly on this video. Right, so how are they doing these? I mean, right, 11 minutes in, what's that? Hang on. I mean, yeah, they are doing like, oh no, that's just like the pre thing, whatever. Right. I mean, that looks decent. There's like a good depth on there. But when he was on with Jesse, it seemed like, I don't know. Like, is it Jesse Holak? 2,000, it says, hang on. 2,000 push-ups, 2,000 body squats. Yeah. Like, you actually watch the video, it's just like pulsing, basically. I mean, they're doing like, what is it, the deck of cards thing, as he does. And it's like they're doing these shorty reps. I mean, can you really say that you're like kind of doing 2,000 then in that case? I don't know. I mean, some people have like criticized me saying I'm doing 33 push-ups, but I think I'm doing better push-ups than those push-ups. If we're gonna, you know, be like counting the amount of push-ups. I don't know. Just everyone's gonna have their own opinion and whatever, but anyway, is everybody okay? Share the live out if you can. That would be really appreciated. Yeah, I did, what is it, 1,000 bodyweight squats. That took me about an hour to do. I did like 20 per set. I don't know if it would be very good for like building muscle though, because it's like, they reckon that beyond a certain point, like the volume just kind of is more about endurance rather than muscle building. I don't know, like there needs to be a certain level of tension, I reckon, for like if you're trying to maximize muscle building. But then some say that as long as you're exhausting the muscles, I mean, there's different types of muscles that you can build, like slow twitch, fast twitch, but it's like you got these like long distance runners who are like primarily slow twitch, and they say how look they're stringy, whatever. But I suppose you could be slow twitch and be big, depending on the type of exercise. Let's say if you're doing, say, like slow tempo reps, like say you're doing, let's say you're doing a bench press, but you do it with like a slow concentric, slow eccentric, just kind of focus on, like the time under tension, and you sort of like build those slow twitch fibers versus doing really fast like reps like that and primarily building fast twitch fibers. But maybe there's a point where you do so much volume that it's mostly just kind of endurance, and it's not really going to build a lot of strength and probably not build a lot of muscle. You're doing just a bunch of bodyweight squats. So you have to, like, if you're trying to build muscle, then at a certain point, you're going to have to like look at more difficult variations, whether that's plyometric squats, whether that's tempo squats, whether that's, pulls at the bottom. Like there's ways to like make it more challenging and be more efficient for muscle building, increasing the tension on the muscles. But yeah, I mean, I try to mix things up, lunges, squats, things like that, I try to keep it varied. That's just how I am. I don't like to stay too rigid with my workouts. I would find that very boring and monotonous. People can be quite robotic with their workouts and just do the same old workouts all the time. And that's not very accessible for people, I don't think, really. We should probably encourage some variety with training and allow people to kind of do it their way, and whether that be like rep ranges, even just a way to kind of make it accessible for people. People can like experiment with things, people can try new things, and so not having to get stuck into a certain rut with it. And people can get quite sort of the whole thing of like, oh, well, you have to do this and that, or this exercise is suboptimal. But the important thing is that you need to do it in a way that suits you. So don't listen to all these people telling you that, oh, well, you have to do it this way or that way. Oh, well, if you do supersets, then you're going to just like, oh, it's going to interfere with things. Well, if that's what you need to do for your lifestyle, then you've got to do that. Don't listen to people just trying to like kind of, tell you what you should be doing with your training and stuff, because they're just projecting their own, like ways onto you, and everyone's different. Just like when people say, oh, you shouldn't do crunches and sit-ups because they're bad for whatever. I mean, personally, I don't necessarily recommend sit-ups that much because it's probably more of a hip flexor exercise, actually. But if you want to work on your hip flexors, that's great. But it's just, if you, as a core exercise, I don't know if sit-ups are necessarily the best, because to work on those visible abs, spine flexion is one of the functions of it. Now, some people say, well, if you're doing a lot of training your abs, say doing other things like push-ups and stuff like that, engaging your core, then you might not really need to do a whole lot of that. But if you do want to try and, make those abs pop more, then it might be good to add in some direct ab training where you're focusing on isolating those muscles. But like I said, it's just people have a very kind of black and white view on things a lot of the time, and especially with like fitness and stuff like that. The same with like diets and things like that, where people push a certain diet, and when people push in things like the keto diet or high carb diet or whatever, and it's like, great, okay, that might work for you, but it might not work for everybody. We need to stop with this whole kind of, oh, well, it worked for me, therefore it can work for you too. This is a problem where personal experience can actually kind of cloud your judgment. And sometimes, you're not, just because you've got an experience with something doesn't mean you're necessarily an authority on it. And just because you haven't experienced something doesn't necessarily mean that you're wrong either. The point is that we've got to try and just not be dogmatic with things, dogmatic with training, dogmatic with diet. I mean, I know I said stuff earlier about like alcohol and how that might be not good for training, but if you did it like in little bits, then I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. Some people could get a bit too, say, anal about that and be like, oh, well, you've had the drink of alcohol, therefore that's going to kill your gains. No, it's not going to do that, probably. But ideally, you probably shouldn't drink if you're trying to build muscle, but it's the dose that makes the poison, they say. Just remember that what's happening with alcohol is if you consume too much of it, so I was looking at this thing about how it produces acetate, which is a metabolic byproduct of alcohol. So your body has to process all of that and get rid of it. And while it's doing that, it can't really be recovering properly. And yeah, so I think they also found that testosterone can lower, that alcohol can lower testosterone as well if you have it moderate to like high levels. And that could be down to the increased cortisol potentially. Like, might actually look into that about whether it can increase cortisol. But it can increase, I think, blood pressure. I remember my grandfather, he drank a lot, but I mean, he kept himself pretty active, but he had some heart issues, and some of it could have been due to the smoking, but I think the drinking probably played a part. And they reckon that drinking a lot of alcohol can lead to increased risk of dementia. He ended up getting dementia in his old age. He got strokes and stuff, and he got dementia. So I reckon his heavy drinking might have influenced that potentially. So it says that yes, excessive alcohol consumption increases cholesterol and triglyceride levels as the liver processes alcohol into these substances, while moderate drinking may slightly increase protective HDL cholesterol, the risk of high LDL and triglycerides from overconsumption, as well as other health issues like fatty liver disease, generally outweigh any potential benefits. Is best to avoid excessive drinking and consult a healthcare professional for personalized advice on managing cholesterol levels. So yeah, it says here, when you drink, your liver breaks down alcohol and converts it into cholesterol and triglycerides, which are then released into your blood. High triglyceride levels can lead to fatty liver disease, impairing the liver's ability to remove cholesterol from the blood and further raising your cholesterol levels. So it can be this kind of like effect where it just gets worse and worse over time, basically, is what it says. Excessive alcohol consumption is associated with high levels of triglycerides and low levels of good HDL cholesterol, a combination that increases the risk of heart disease. So I was actually looking for cortisol. I'm just going to have a look at cortisol. Yes, alcohol increases cortisol, the body's stress hormone, by activating the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis, which coordinates the stress response regular or heavy drinking can lead to chronic cortisol elevation, disrupting bodily functions, increasing stress, and potentially contributing to anxiety, restlessness, and heightened cravings for alcohol. So, yes, that's one of the side effects as well, is the increased cortisol. And if your cortisol is elevated, then your potential to repair and grow is lower. And then things like testosterone, it's probably going to decrease all of that. High cortisol, low testosterone. A lot of people think that drinking beer makes them a man. It does the opposite, actually, especially if you do it a lot. So, yeah. But basically, yeah, so heavy drinking is not good for like building muscle and just getting fit and really in general. Or even for like endurance athletes, they probably shouldn't be taking a lot of this stuff. It's probably going to impair your recovery, impair your body's adaptations to exercise, because it could affect like your nervous system, and you know, your nervous system doesn't really recover properly. Alcohol, like the central nervous system. Let's have a look. So alcohol, specifically ethanol, is a neurotoxin that impairs the central nervous system, CNS, by interfering with brain cell communication and functioning, altering neurotransmitters. Even moderate consumption can cause issues with coordination, reaction time, and decision making. With heavy or chronic drinking leads to severe brain damage, cognitive decline, and physical problems such as tremors, memory loss, and nerve damage. So it's potential that like if you drink alcohol and then also if you have, say, like a bad diet and that's causing a lot of stress, a lot of high blood pressure, and then you end up with a stroke, that the drinking will actually increase the risk of then getting things like dementia and stuff like that potentially. Because if you've already got neurological decline already, then what happens, say, if you get a stroke from like having ultra processed food, a lot of, you know, crap in your body, and then end up like basically, you know, having early onset dementia. So that could have been what happened. I mean, it wasn't like particularly unhealthy, but apart from drinking heavily, but you know, it's just he was like I say, he was a smoker, so that probably increased the risk as well. I mean, smoking, you know, it puts a lot of that can put, you know, like plaque in the arteries and stuff. I've heard like the let's see, like smoking. So yeah, so let's see about like atherosclerotic plaque. So that, you know, the chemicals in cigarettes, smoke damaging blood vessel walls. Smoking can also refer to bacterial plaque on teeth, which contributes to gum disease. So so basically, yeah, so it says smoking causes atherosclerosis by damaging endothelial cells, triggering inflammation and oxidative stress, and altering blood chemistry, which promotes plaque buildup in arteries. The harmful chemicals in cigarette smoke include nicotine, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and particulate matter, contribute to atherogenesis by increasing platelet activation, promoting blood clots, and disrupting the balance of coagulation. Quitting smoking rapidly reverses many of these detrimental effects, reducing the risk of atherosclerosis and related cardiovascular events. So let's see if there's a link between, like, say like, because he had a thing called angina or something, which is saying it increases the risk of developing and worsening angina. So yeah, basically it's caused by reduced blood flow to the heart. Yeah, so let's see about strokes. Significantly increases risk of stroke by damaging blood vessels, raising cholesterol, and promoting blood clots. So yeah, basically, yeah. I remember like my grandmother had to like get off the smoking because she was like getting asthma. She was like getting yeah, she had a lot of like health problems. So she ended up just going cold turkey one day. I think it was like New Year. She like did this a New Year's resolution that actually ended up working for her, but I think it was kind of like a necessity at that point because her health was starting to decline. And yeah, at this point, and by the way, she's not like any longer with us, but it's just but yeah, basically my grandfather, I think, smoked till towards the end, until when he got dementia. But then he stopped after that. But the damage was already done at that point, Like, yeah, once you've damaged like once you've damaged like your heart and all that stuff, and you damage your brain, there's no going back from that. So maybe if he hadn't have been drinking a lot and smoking a lot, then maybe he could have still been here. Who knows? Who the hell knows, really? But it's just one of those things we'll just never know. But he got to 83, which is not too bad considering everything. But I mean, he did live a decent lifestyle other than that. But maybe he could have lived another 10 or 20 years. Who knows? If he'd have just not done all that stuff. But back when they started doing all that stuff, it was trendy to do it. Even it was probably even before they started like putting warning labels on things. Because say back in the 50s, 60s, or whatever, it's like they didn't even know that it was like bad, and they even promoted it as like being good for you. And it's like at one time they used to say sugar was good for you, like they tried to promote sugar as like being good and fat being bad. And it's like there's always a new narrative, isn't there, that they're trying to push. Like it's like they're going about vaping and stuff, but it's like we don't really know, do we? There's still a lot that we don't really know about it. It's like we're kind of playing Russian roulette with health, and it's we just don't really know. I just I mean, people say, well, it's a good way to get off smoking, but it's like if people then think that it's safe, then they can just keep using it and like thinking that it's cool and it's safe, but they don't know what it could do long term. So I'm just quite sort of pragmatic and quite cautious about things you could say. Like, I'm like kind of, is this really like something that we should be like glorifying the use of and promoting it? Or should we be a bit more cautious about it, and it should maybe be more of like a kind of short-term strategy rather than something that people do long-term? The problem is it can be a gateway to get into stuff like all these kids getting on the vaping and stuff. It's just we just got to be careful with things. I think it's been around 20 odd years maybe at this point, but it's still not really long enough to really see it takes a few decades in some cases, people to actually see what the long-term effects are of these things. they've started to see some things that happen, like popcorn lung with certain brands of it and stuff. Because the thing is that different brands have got different ingredients and stuff, and it's just dodgy if you're doing stuff like that. Anyway, thank you for the 11 likes, everybody. But it's like these weight loss drugs. I don't know. I mean, you could argue that if it is really necessary and you're like morbidly obese, then okay. But like, if you're just trying to like lose a few extra pounds or something, is it really worth it? The potential risks. If you say like have 10, 15 pounds to lose or something, and you just, oh, well, I'm just going to go on this thing that's going to suppress my appetite. But this thing that you put in your body, could it potentially be detrimental in some ways? It's like, I'm just a bit kind of, I'd be a bit cautious with these sort of things, really. But the doctors will just prescribe these things because they make money off it, right? You know? There's a lot of like doctors out there making commissions out of things, and it's just, they're just trying to like, you know, they're trying to make their money, whatever. I understand that, but it's like, do they actually genuinely care about their customers, a lot of them? Or is the main focus on all this is going to, I mean, you could argue that not many doctors go in it just for the money, but it's like, I remember talking about this a while ago, like how a lot of people will try and become a doctor for like a stable job that's good paying. It's like, but I don't know. It's just sorry. You know, like I don't know. I'm quite a cynical person, you could say. Like, I'm like, you know, when people are selling stuff like medicines and therapies and whatever, it's like they're not always going to be totally honest with you, and they're not always going to be having your best interests at heart. They might omit certain details that they're, you know, inconvenient for them, and you know, because that's this economy, right? It's, you know, profit before people. It should be the other way around, right? Like, we should be putting people first, but like, there's some really just like scummy people out there who are like just preying on vulnerable people, and they don't care about actually helping them. They just want to make money off them. But it's like this exploitative economy, basically, that we have. Some might say that's because of capitalism, but yeah, I mean, I think you could say that's a part of it at least. But it's, the problem is a government is that if we could actually like maybe think certain things need to be more regulated, you could argue, like, and we have these like health kind of like, what is it, organizations and stuff, but it's like, it's not fair, because sometimes they would like approve of a certain medication that's like not very good, but yet they'll not approve of something else. And it's just, it's like in America, you got like, was it FDA? And it's like, I don't know what it is here, but it's like every country's, I think, probably got its own kind of food and drug administration or whatever. And that's like, they decide what you can sell and what you can't sell and whatever. And it's just, when you got these like authorities that can dictate that, it can be quite dangerous. And because then certain stuff's allowed that could be dangerous, but then things can get banned that could actually save people's lives. Some reckon that there's not any real like incentive for them to have like cancer cures and stuff like that, because if it was something that was actually like safe or not safe, if it was something that was actually like cheap and natural, that they couldn't make money off it. So someone was saying that like some of these like charities have no interest in actually research, like cancer research, for example. Someone was saying they have no interest in researching cancer cures. Well, what I'd say is that yeah, they do, but they only have interest in researching ones that they can that the big pharma can actually benefit from. So like that's because for all we know, they could be just being kind of like bribed to kind of just basically kind of just hide any not cures or treatments that are like inconvenient to big pharma, basically. I mean, there's people that have talked. I mean, I'm not saying that this is. I'm not allowed to promote like cancer cures, but basically, there are people who have claimed to have treated it with like things such as cannabis oil. I'm not saying that that's gonna help people, but let's say hypothetically that it did work, then people who sort of you say like big pharma, they wouldn't like that, would they? Because that could like put them out of business. Because if there's a widely available cure that is cheap, then there is no need for synthetic drugs that are man-made in a lab. So then they'll be like furious about that. So what are your thoughts, everybody? Why is it going so quiet in here anyway? Is there something off with this chat or something? Let's just refresh it. Hang on. What is going on? Where's the chat gone? I'll be back in a sec. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. I must have missed some comments there. Thank you, websites. Hello, Yogi. How you doing? Yeah, hope you're well if you're still there. So yeah, just talking about the whole thing of, the big pharma. They don't want like natural cures and treatments to get known. Really, I don't trust any of it all. I don't really trust big pharma whatsoever. There are certain things that are necessary, like allopathic medicine, but it should mainly be used, in my opinion, as like a last resort, as opposed to like something that we should be treating everything with. There's a lot of like holistic medicines that actually are probably a lot better for a lot of people, in my opinion, that treat better with less side effects. Because the problem with a lot of the medications that they put out there's a lot of side effects with it, a lot of adverse effects. And sometimes it's just not worth it. And there's usually something better out there, but it's just they don't want people knowing about it. So yeah, I got 12 likes on here. Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, I got into like a tangent of like the corruption in the whole system is corrupt pretty much, isn't it? The health system, every system seems to be corrupt. The justice system, the police system, the medical system. It's like something really needs to be radically changed about it all. Well, I think we need to get rid of this top-down power, because I think that's where a lot of the problem comes from, is the central government that dictates everything. And they don't dictate everything necessarily. They're also being, you could say, puppeted themselves because of how they'll take bribes and things like that. but they have the power for us to, to then tell us what to do. But it's really coming from corporate powers. But it's like the government will just side with corporations because they're the donors, basically. So yeah, I can see why people could be quite black-pilled about everything, like because of they see the way that things are going, the cost of living, the way that the system is, and yeah. So I saw this post earlier, actually, some video of some and it caused a lot of controversy in the comments and stuff. And it was it was a clip, and some were saying, well, it was taken out of context or something, and some dude that it was like a black guy in a car, and there was being pulled over or something, and he wasn't cooperating, and then they smashed through his window and then forced him out, basically, and then forced him down on the floor. To me, that's just, I mean, they would say, oh, well, it was because he wasn't cooperating, because they say, oh, you didn't see the bit before where he wasn't cooperating. But I would say to that, I mean, yeah, maybe he was being a bit of you could argue he was being a bit of a dick to not cooperate, but it's but what they did, I think, was excessive, and it's just, but the thing is, these things will just cause a lot of division in the whole kind of thing. It's oh, he got what he deserved, and then on the other side, people will say, well, you wouldn't say that if it was a white guy or something. So it's they'll get these arguments going on, and it almost seems like sometimes people put these posts out because they know they're going to be controversial. It's like when these news stories come out, and then it's like you got the news on all these different sides, and oh, Fox said this, CNN said this. It's just a bunch of drama. It's not even news. It's just a bunch of drama, is what it is. It's like they're so biased. Even this country is biased, but it's so bad over there. It's just funny how people think that Fox News is some kind of that is some kind of rebel news or something like that. Like it's some kind of, oh, we're the rebels watching Fox News, but it's they're one of the biggest news platforms, aren't they? They're massive. They get so many viewers on it, and it's just kind of I'm just saying that I just think that yeah. Yeah, just things have gotten so chaotic. It's there's this whole Charlie Kirk thing, and it's just that's caused a whole bunch of arguing and just division. But yeah, I mean, there's always something to happen, isn't there? It's like a few years ago we had that Lee Rigby thing, and there was this whole kind of thing about all that, and I don't watch the news because I just don't want to see all this nonsense. I mean, I'm probably going to hear some stuff, but it's I don't need to have all that in my mind. I'd rather just not watch it. They'll probably say that there's a new disease coming, or that something's new coming that's a threat or something, and it just keeps showing a low vibrational state of fear. And I don't want to be in that state. So you got to guard your vibration. It's all about what kinds of stuff are you consuming. If you're consuming fear and hate and anger and all that, then that's what you're going to perpetuate in your life. So we have to be careful about what we are consuming. So yeah, just gotta try to just, consume stuff that's going to uplift you. And yeah, I'm sure there's good news out there. It's just that those don't make good headlines, do they? People tend to want to watch the negative news headlines over the positive stuff, really. So yeah, I don't know, just but yeah, I've just gone on a bit of a rant and just kind of talking about a lot of the BS in society, the BS in like things like even like the fitness industry and the fitness community and online, and how a lot of them don't even know what fitness is. Like people have this like narrow view of things, and they're just kind of but to me, to be truly fit, like you want to be well-rounded. So yeah, everybody okay then? Probably get off here soon. I know I'm a bit negative, but it's just I get stuff on my mind, and sometimes I like to just vent about things, get stuff off my chest, really. So yeah, there's not really anyone chatting, is there? So probably about time I get going. So yeah, all right, everybody, take care. I'll see you all soon. All right, bye for now.